Thanks to research, over 80% of women diagnosed with breast cancer today will still be alive in 5 years' time. But our best weapon in overcoming this disease is by stopping women getting breast cancer in the first place. And this is particularly important for women at high risk of the disease. So Breast Cancer Campaign is leading the way in this field by investing £1 million into research to improve options for women at high risk of developing the disease.
My name's Sasha Howell. I'm a senior lecturer at the University of Manchester and also work here at the Christie Hospital. And I'm being funded by Breast Cancer Campaign to investigate new drugs to try and prevent breast cancer. So it may seem extreme to think about taking drugs to try and prevent a disease like breast cancer, but actually it's not so. We only have to think about other diseases like heart disease or stroke, and this is done routinely. I'll be working with a group of about 30 women at high risk of breast cancer, and we'll be testing out a drug that's already used for another condition, and we know that it's very well tolerated with few side effects, and we'll be seeing whether or not this may be able to prevent breast cancer, and this is called chemoprevention.
I'm Charlotte Pittock, I'm 31 years old and a mother of 3. I have the BRCA2 gene, which gives me an 85% chance of breast cancer. So last year I decided to have a preventative double mastectomy. My daughter has a 50% chance of inheriting the same gene as me, which would see her having the same risk as I have of breast cancer. When I found out about my risk, there wasn't so many options available to me. But through this research and things like chemoprevention, it could be a real benefit to women at a higher risk of breast cancer.
So let me try and explain how we think that this new approach to breast cancer, chemoprevention, might work. If we think of the normal breast looking a little bit like this, but obviously down the microscope, you have little breast lobules which are responsible for producing milk, which they then push out down the duct, which will be the stalk here of the red currants. In the second half of the menstrual cycle, what happens is that the hormones estrogen and progesterone kick in, and that results in cell division within the lobules, and they grow. We're more likely to see a swollen situation with these grapes, or represented by the grapes. When cells or the lobules go from the red currant to the grapes, from rested to active, that's because of cell division. And when we have cell division, we have an increased risk of mistakes being made in the DNA. And it's those mistakes that can go on to lead to breast cancer. So what we're going to do with this drug is we're going to try and maintain the breast in this situation. So by reducing the progesterone, we're reducing the proliferation, the division of cells within the breast, and keeping it in this rested state, and therefore hopefully prevent the mistakes and the breast cancer from forming. So we know that about 1 in 8 to 1 in 9 women will develop breast cancer during their life, and some women therefore are at higher risk than others. For those women at high risk, we could offer increased screening. We could even offer a double mastectomy to significantly reduce their risk. So we already have some very effective drugs for chemoprevention of breast cancer in tamoxifen and raloxifene. And these drugs reduce the chance of breast cancer by around about 40%. The drugs do carry some side effects, such as hot flushes and sometimes joint aches and pains. And our job is to try and reassure women about these side effects and try and minimise them when they occur. Unfortunately, these drugs don't get rid of all of the risk of breast cancer, and so we need new approaches to try and help more women to reduce the risk of their breast cancer as well.
So my name is Gareth Evans, and my research with Campaign is looking at the uptake of these prevention medicine drugs in women who are eligible so that we can assess the demand on the health service, but also to predict at an early stage who is going to benefit from taking these treatments, so that those that are not do not need to take them for a long period of time.
I'm Louise Jones. I'm Professor of Breast Pathology at the Barts Cancer Institute. My work, funded by Breast Cancer Campaign, aims to establish whether a simple blood test can indicate if a woman who is taking the preventive medicine tamoxifen is actually being protected by it. This is important because it will allow us to indicate to a woman whether or not the drug is effective for her personally, and then she can make a much more informed decision about whether or not she wants to take it.
At Breast Cancer Campaign, we're really excited about these new projects. We believe they are going to help us deliver our ambitious goal of preventing 20% of breast cancers by 2025. In the meantime, we believe it's really important that women who would benefit from chemoprevention drugs have access to them. So we call on the Department of Health to make sure that these drugs are routinely available to women at moderate or high risk of breast cancer. Healthcare professionals should also know about chemoprevention options. If you're concerned about your risk of breast cancer or have a family history of the disease, speak to your GP and they can discuss your options with you.